Life is returning to the crypto markets. Liquidity is rising. The economy is expanding and prices are going higher. But there is still a risk that you need to be aware of unless you want to get wrecked. The situation happening in Iran has the potential to stop this rally dead in its tracks. In this video, I'm going to give you both cases. What would need to happen for the crypto rally to continue versus what needs to happen for it to crash and burn. And I'll give you a hint, I'm still very bullish. So throw me a like down below and let's jump in to today's video. Now, structurally, guys, we are very bullish long term. I'm going to take you through the data here in a second that shows you why we should be optimistic moving into the second half. We've seen Bitcoin rally almost up to 80K despite the Strait of Hormuz not being opened. Tensions are escalating, rhetoric is escalating, threats are getting thrown around back and forth. Why is this happening? Why are we seeing markets going higher even though this tension has not been resolved yet? Because markets are essentially giving this a pass. Markets are giving this situation a hall pass right now because they think that on the other side of this brinksmanship of these threats, there's going to be a resolution. And it's not about the war, it's about the energy conflict. And I want to show you a clip here from Jim Bianco, what exactly could happen if we don't see a resolution to this conflict. Check it out.
For the announcements that the Strait is going to be open. And that doesn't seem to bother him or anybody else. In other words, it's that known right now that this is what's happening. Yep. And it doesn't bother anybody.
And so this is the risk that we have. If the Strait of Hormuz doesn't open, then oil can't flow, and the economies that ultimately push liquidity into markets aren't going to be able to do so. In order for liquidity to flow into markets, for investors to invest, they need to create profits and revenue. We're dependent on oil and fertilizer and helium for these things, and these are exactly the things that we're not getting. I want to take you through some charts here for the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Ship traffic remains at a fraction of pre-war levels. If you think we're not going to see a consequence from this, well, then I have bad news for you. Transit through Hormuz concentrated among a small set of countries. If you look, we scroll down, major Asian and Gulf economies have billions at stake. Trade value passing through the Strait of Hormuz, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. And so if these goods don't reach the country sooner than later, we're going to have a liquidity crisis. We're going to see liquidity evaporate. However, if we do see a resolution, then I think markets will be able to look through the shocks that we're going to see. We're going to see higher prices. We're going to see shortages in what we need in energy and materials. But if the Hormuz is open, I think markets will look through it, and I think we'll look to the other side of that conflict and say, okay, we're moving now. Think back to COVID. We saw a surge after everything opened back up. I think we're going to see something similar this time. And that's what this chart is showing us right here. Crisis pushes up agricultural commodity prices. So we're going to see this. Whether or not we have a resolution in time for this, I think is going to determine how markets react. I want to show a quick clip here from Darius over at 42 Macro. He's going to explain why it's so important for the Strait of Hormuz to open, for this rally to continue. Have a listen.
Swiss National Bank down 8%. Bank of Japan, or sorry, Bank of England down 8%, and then the U.S. is up 1%. So the China, U.S. doing the heavy lifting for the current uptrend in global liquidity, as we highlighted earlier.
And so this is the risk we face. Also, if you appreciate me combing through hours of videos each day to bring you the clearest, most actionable signal, throw me a subscribe down below. We're going to keep making these videos. Now, that is the risks that we face. Hormuz not opening. And so what is the good news? Let me bring you through the data. And so these right here, again, from 42 Macro, are the best leading indicators of global liquidity. Interest rates and the MOVE index, which is basically telling you if there's volatility in the bond market or not, volatility in the debt market. And they're both trending down, which means global liquidity trending higher. And this is also very bullish for the long term. I want to show you this. Fed securities holdings trending higher. U.S. bank securities holdings also trending higher. This is from Steve Dons. Now, what happened this month? There's something that happened this month that's going to allow liquidity to continue to increase. They dialed back the SLR, what they're calling the ESLR. What does that mean? Essentially, it reduces the amount of liquidity that banks need to keep on hand. So they relaxed this rule down and they gave banks a little more spending power. And so that's the liquidity that we're seeing flow in. And so let me show you one more bullish chart from Andreas Steno over at Real Vision. Fed net liquidity, that's basically central bank liquidity, and then SOFR's interest rates. The impacts of this are going to push liquidity higher. So we've seen the shift from banks. We're seeing that spending increase. We're seeing that liquidity get deployed. And so markets are still willing to look through these conditions to strong fundamentals, strong corporate earnings, strong manufacturing that's going on in the AI sector, and that's the business cycle. I'm going to tell you about that here in a second. They're looking ahead to better conditions, but in the short term, there is a risk. You just got to be aware. Now, the last thing that has me so bullish, and it's something we didn't see in 2025, and I think that's a big thing that held us back. I think it's something we're going to see later this year. I want to draw your attention to this. US ISM PMI, what the hell does that mean? Institute for Supply Management, Purchasing Managers Index. This is measuring economic expansion in the US economy and subsequently worldwide. The US is a big player. We have been below. 50 is the point at which we're expanding, okay? So if we're above 50, we're growing. If we're below 50, we're shrinking. We don't want to be shrinking, you want to be growing. When's the last time that we were actually growing? October of 2022. So that's almost 4 years that we have been below 50. Look at how terrible this looks. This is awful. Oh, 50.9, that's seasonal. And this is why we saw 52.6 in January. We're expanding. Then we wanted to see the next 2 months confirm, 52.4, 52.7. This is a direct result. Let me zoom in. This is a direct result of the AI infrastructure build out. And it's something I've been talking about for a while. If you follow me on other platforms, this is something that a lot of people were excited about because it's going to push up that manufacturing, help the economy expand. Typically, that leads to much higher prices in the crypto markets, altcoins specifically. Now, what's important for us here is the next couple of months, we have to see what this does. We have to see what the effects from the Iran war do. We have to see what the effects from the energy shortages do. But if we can see this stay high, go higher, or just not flat out collapse because whatever shock is coming is going to be transitory, which means it's going to pass, we'll get back to better days, is very important. So that's something I'm definitely going to be keeping you up to date on. If you subscribe down below, you'll be able to stay up on that. And right now we're looking very bullish. I don't see any reason for this to stop as long as manufacturing continues, as long as we see a timely resolution of this conflict. We're getting towards the end. And we are also at the end of this video. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you found this informative. And I hope that you give me a like and subscribe down below to keep up with these updates. Also, leave me a comment. Let me know if you've learned anything. Do you think that the Hormuz conflict is going to end, or is this just the new norm? In either case, thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next video.